should it be syrup?
Okay.
Should it be injection? If it is injection, should it be intravenous, or should I give on the buttocks? Should I give it through drip?
Oh,
these are different
that's
routes.
A whole lot.
Yes. So if it is an injection that is supposed to give on the buttocks and you gave it intravenously, that's error. It could lead to harm.
Okay.
If it is still an injection, that is supposed to be given through the vein, but you are supposed to put it inside a drip and infuse the patient, and you now decide to put the syringe in the vein and apply it there and administer it directly, it could lead to error. So you talk about frequency, timing. Should it be in the morning, afternoon, what time? There are drugs you take, they say take it every 8 hours. It is not morning, afternoon, night. There are ones that may say take it every 4 or 5 or 6 hours. So you don't say, okay, I took in the morning, I should take
in the afternoon.
So you should follow the frequency.
Okay. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now let's take on the next topic for today. But we'll start by taking a quote. And this one is from Thomas Fuller. He was an enslaved African renowned for his mathematical abilities. He once said, "Health is not valued till sickness comes." I agree with this one. So the next quote is from Billy Graham, an American evangelist and an ordained Southern Baptist minister who became well known internationally in the late 1940s. He once said, "When wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. When character is lost, all is lost." Some deep thoughts. All right, so that takes us straight to what we'll be discussing today, as every person around the world will or has at some point in their life taken medications to prevent or treat illness. However, medications sometimes cause serious harm if incorrectly stored, prescribed, dispensed, administered, or if monitored insufficiently. Unsafe medication practice and medication errors are a leading cause of avoidable harm in healthcare across the world. Medication errors occur when weak medication systems and human factors such as fatigue, poor environmental conditions, or staff shortages affect the safety of the medication use and process. Now, this can result in severe patient harm, disability, and even death. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has sufficiently exacerbated the risk of medication errors and associated medication-related harm. It is in this context that medication safety has been selected as the theme for the World Patient Safety Day 2022 with the slogan, "Medication Without Harm." Now, I'm sure you know what we will be discussing in our next topic of discussion. And now that's the basis of our next conversation, and my guest is Ebenezer Egwuatu. He is a patient right and safety advocate. Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
All right, now let's start by talking about World Patient Safety Day 2022 themed medication safety, medication without harm. What exactly is involved, and what are your interpretation with regards to that theme? What exactly inclined that theme for this year's World Patient Safety Day?
Okay, let me do a little backtracking to state that World Patient Safety Day is a day designated by World Health Organization. It started in 2019. It was designated 2019 every 17th of September as one of the public health awareness day, global public health awareness day. So we had World Patient Safety Day 2020, where we talked about celebrating frontline COVID responders. We did World Patient Safety Day 2021, where we talked about maternal health, safe maternal care, and all that. This year,
I remember having you on that show.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here we are today talking World Patient Safety Day 2022. And this year's theme is safe medication. Medication safety, if you like. Now, your question is why the theme? There are statistics that have shown, in fact, one WHO statistics shows that 50%, half of all medical harm, so to speak, are attributable to medication error. So you see that it is worth discussing. There have been issues of medication error leading to harm. You have seen children that are paralyzed by one leg as a result of one injection, wrong injection. So medication error is a global issue today, and it is causing medication harm with ripple effects, economic. Sometimes the effects could lead to death. For example, somebody is given the wrong injection or a wrong medication or a wrong treatment, and the person dies as a result of that. The family, if the person is the breadwinner, the family has lost the breadwinner. One, the economic effect on the children continues on and on and on, and most times it is not traceable to medication error.
Oh.
Do you understand it?
Okay.
And there are different reasons, approaches, causes that could lead to this. People have had a loss of organ damage as a result of medication error. So it is worth discussing. It is worth putting on the front burner so that people can become aware. In fact, this year's World Patient Safety Day has 4 objectives, one of which I believe is what we are doing now. One of the objectives is to empower patients and family members to become actively involved in safe medication. Now, how do we empower them? Information dissemination, sensitization, education, and that's exactly why we're discussing this.
All right, so now help us understand what medication-related harm are.
Okay. Medication-related harm is any harm to the patient as a result of medication error. Now, let me differentiate between medication error and the harm. The medication error is the mistake the healthcare provider has made in the course of medication administration. It could be wrong prescription. It could be wrong dosage under prescription. It could be over prescription. The high dosage of the we are not talking about diagnosis here.
Okay.
No, diagnosis, we have ascertained what the ailment is.
Okay.
We are now treating. The healthcare practitioner makes a wrong prescription. He wants to write drug A, he mistakenly writes drug B.
Oh, goodness me.
Do you understand? Now, he can even write the right drug. He can prescribe the right drug. Time will fail us to discuss doctor's handwriting, which is an issue in medication.
That's another kettle of fish entirely.
So, which is an issue. So, he could prescribe the right medication, but because of the illegibility of his handwriting, the person dispensing at the pharmacy.
But I thought they all understand the handwriting of doctors.
Now, the person, the pharmacist may look at the prescription written by the doctor. He does not understand it. Now, rather than tell the patient, please take this back to the doctor, I do not understand it, he will make up whatever he thinks that medication should be and gives the patient. So the error here is not from the doctor, even though he's to blame because of the ineligibility of his writing. So you have given the right medication, but the pharmacist or the person dispensing dispensed the wrong one. It could cause that.
Okay. 2,
now this error, the mistake has happened. What is the effect of the mistake? When the patient now takes the wrong drug, the consequences of taking the wrong drug in the body of the patient, that is where we talk about medication-related harm.
Oh, okay.
So the effect, the negative effect of taking the wrong medication on the patient is medication-related harm. But medication error itself is the initial mistake There could be where the doctor has prescribed the right drug was actually gotten. Now, the person who is now administers lower dosage or underdose,
okay,
or gives more dosage, or does not give as frequently as it should be. This drug should be taken 3 times a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening, and the person decides to give 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, omitting the afternoon. Now, it's like a relay race. So the one that you took in the morning started working. By the time it's getting tired, the one that you are supposed to take in the afternoon is supposed to continue its work from there. Then the one in the evening picks it up. The cycle continues until the ailment is properly treated. But here you have created a gap.
But then a lot of us are actually have to be blamed with regard to that gap, because you just feel like, okay, I think I'm getting better, so I've done one, let me just leave this part and then probably do another one again.
That's a different topic we are talking about now. When we talk about patient responsibility, one of the responsibilities of the patient is to take his medication as prescribed by the doctor, completely. So it's not you took day 1, day 2,
I hear
day
you
3.
had to stretch completely.
Yes, you took day 1, day 2, day 3. You felt you are getting better, then you saw no need to take it again. Whereas the prescription is 7 days. So whether you are feeling, you are supposed to take the whole medication the way religiously, the way it is prescribed for you by your doctor. But oftentimes we don't do that.
Like I said, a lot of us have to be blamed with this part. And then you talked about the doctor's handwriting. Sometimes we used to think that it's part of their training to have that that kind of handwriting.
I sincerely doubt. But how come when they write their bill, you see it?
That's another one.
How come when in fact, some hospitals, they will type the bill. Well, why don't you also type the medication if there could be issue? Then another issue with prescription on doctors' writing is some in Nigeria here, some of our medications, they use abbreviations. That's a contributory factor to medication error. Now, if the pharmacist or the person to dispense is not well attuned to understand that particular abbreviation, there's an issue. There are drugs that have similar names or similar spellings but different. So a lot of I wouldn't call it complication, the delicateness that requires one to pay serious attention. Are they done deliberately? No. I don't want to believe that any doctor will deliberately prescribe wrong medication. That is unprofessional. I also do not want to believe that a pharmacist will deliberately, a professional, a trained pharmacist will deliberately dispense a wrong medication. No. It is a mistake. That's why we call it error. He didn't intend to, but this is what happens. Then there are some medications that have generic names. So a lot of, except if we now have people who are not really professionally trained pharmacists, but this patent medicine people who just dispense, or maybe they quest to make money. You know, there's this advert that says if it's not a particular product, it is not that product. Exactly. I wouldn't want to call names. So you now have, you could go to hospital and say, yes, we don't have this, but this can serve that purpose. He wants to sell. And then they even tell you that it's the same thing. They do the same thing, but it's just this one has name. This one is selling name, and the other one is selling products. That is where the error comes in. Okay. This is one of the places the error comes in. In fact, there are actually some rules or rights for drug administration, which if nurses now, who mostly in hospitals are the ones who administer. Prescription is one thing done by the doctor, but administration is the nurse that does it and supervises it. Okay. So if the nurse is doing that, she has to ascertain, is this the right drug I'm supposed to give? One, is the person I'm giving it the right patient? Two, the routes I am giving this drug, am I giving it through the right route? Is the drug meant to be swallowed? Should it be, okay, let's say, should it be syrup?
Okay.
Should it be injection? If it is injection, should it be intravenous, or should I give on the buttocks? Should I give it through drip?
Oh,
these are different
that's
routes.
a whole lot.
Yes. So if it is an injection that is supposed to give on the buttocks and you gave it intravenously, that's error. It could lead to harm.
Okay.
If it is still an injection, that is supposed to be given through the vein, but you are supposed to put it inside a drip and infuse the patient, and you now decide to put the syringe in the vein and apply it and administer it directly, it could lead to error. So when we are talking about routes, you need to get this proper. You now talk about the dosage. It should be the right dose. It shouldn't be overdose. It shouldn't be underdose. We are talking about where you have the right medicine, the right medication to give. Now, you talk about frequency, timing. Should it be in the morning, afternoon, what time? There are drugs you take, they say take it every 8 hours. It is not morning, afternoon, night. There are ones that may say take it every 4 or 5 or 6 hours. So you don't say, okay, I took in the morning, I should take
in the afternoon.
So you should follow the frequency.
Okay.
Then, for the person that has administered, what about documentation? As you administer, you are supposed to document because you will not always be there. When you are done with your shift, you go. The next person taking over from you should look at the record and know what.
Follow the track record.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So what about evaluation of the patient? When you administer, is this patient reacting to this drug? What's the reaction? Because the patient could be or might be allergic to one of the components of the drugs. So if you did not evaluate well, you will not detect that, and you keep giving the patient that drug, which will lead to medication error. If you want to stretch it, and obviously medication related harm.
I was actually going to ask you who are the stakeholders that should be on this roundtable, but you've actually touched on it. So now let's talk about some of the objective of this year's World Patient Day 2022, which is to raise global awareness of the high burden of medication related harm due to medication errors and unsafe practices, and advocate urgent action to improve medication safety. Now, is it on the part of the healthcare givers or on the part of the patient? Who exactly, apart from the healthcare givers, who else should be on this roundtable? Okay,
you talked about stakeholders. Yes, patients should be. The number 3rd objective is empowering the patients and families. They need to know. One is the raising global awareness, followed by engaging partners and stakeholders. That's the second objective. So your question is, who are these stakeholders? Who should be on this roundtable? Stakeholders, patients are major stakeholders. Because they're the ones consuming the medication. The Ministry of Health is there. Regulatory bodies should be there. You talk about Medical and Dental Council, they should be there. They are stakeholders, they are regulatory. You talk about Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria. You talk about Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, because we are talking about drugs. So we will look at even up to storage. We will look at so that the medication will be safe. So they are also supposed to even look into patent medicine operation or practitioners. Patent medicine practitioners who dispense these drugs. They are all stakeholders. It's a long chain. Yes.
All right, so now another objective is to engage key stakeholders, like you talked about, to partner in efforts to prevent medication errors and reduce medication related harm. Now, in a country like Nigeria, where some people, especially some healthcare givers, can be really nonchalant and intolerant. So, and that's not even to say that we don't have a million of some of them who are good, actually. But now we've heard complaints from pregnant women, from a lot of people, on how they've been attacked and how they've undergone one ill treatment or the other from some doctors and even nurses. So, and then, excuse me, so now they now complain about even being diagnosed wrongly. Now that's another issue there. So which is one of the persistent challenges that these patients that is also a part of this patient safety that we've actually reeled out. Now, in all of this, how then do you prevent medication error as a patient?
As a patient, one of your rights is to know the name of the medication that is being administered to you. It's under your right to information. You're supposed to know the name of the medication. You are supposed to know the probable side effects of the medication. You are supposed to know why, the purpose of the medication, and what it is supposed to do in your body.
But sometimes you even ask them and they don't want to tell you.
Now, that is part of why we are doing this. This is an empowerment scheme as far as I'm concerned, because knowledge is power, we say. So we are now empowering the patient. Don't forget, patients' rights advocacy is relatively new in our climate. One, patient safety is relatively new. In fact, it is new. Not relatively. World Patient Safety Day we are talking about today just started in 2020. It was in 2019 at the World Health Assembly that the WHO passed the resolution. So you see that there is a lot of work to be done, one of which is massive sensitization of everybody, because the person who is a doctor today could become a patient tomorrow. So he needs to have the information. So for the patient to participate, the patient has to become alert, to become awoken to his rights and responsibilities. One of the responsibilities of the patient is to ask questions. One of the responsibilities of the question is to give of the patient is to give the healthcare practitioner honest feedback. By honest feedback, when you take a medication and there are reactions to it, you are reacting to it, you let the healthcare provider know.
Okay.
This is how it's doing me. This is the reaction I'm feeling. Now, where the healthcare provider insists that you must take the medication without explaining to you, okay, this is part of the side effects. And if the patient is lettered enough or enlightened enough to even know some allergies he or she has, that he's allergic to so and so, he should be able to volunteer that information even without being asked.
Okay.
That I am allergic to this drug. Now, how will the patient know? It is when the doctor tells the patient, okay, this is the medication we are giving you, this is the function, this is the probable side effect. The patient could now in response say, no, I'm allergic to this, I'm allergic to. So that is how the patient should participate, because one of the objectives is that the patient should get involved in safe medication. So that's it.
All right, even as our time is fast spent, very quickly now, let's talk about, we actually cannot talk about patient safety without talking about the healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, and the entire value chain. Now, with this mass exodus of brain drain in Nigeria, I've had conversations with a NAD president and then the NMA chairman, and then he said that the truth is that it is a worrisome trend. And then I remember the president saying that we just pray that the last person that would actually believe in, it was a joke though, according to him, the last doctor that would believe in should shut the door so that you don't have quacks and coming in, which is it is true.
That's the danger.
Now that's where we're going to. How much will all of this affect this the value chain? Because you can't talk about the patients without talking about the healthcare.
It does. It has direct impact on medication error. One of the causes of medication error is actually fatigue, tiredness of the healthcare provider. Why? Because they are overstretched. The hospitals are understaffed. Why? Because the competent hands are moving to greener pastures. Do you understand it? So, because hospitals are understaffed, the few workers that are available, the few healthcare providers that are available are now overstretched. You see doctors working 2-3 different hospitals. Why? There is a gap, there is shortage of competent hands in that particular area of healthcare delivery. So the doctor does this, goes to render service in hospital A, rushes to hospital B to do the same thing, rushes to hospital C to, if
and he's receiving call from a patient.
So if he does this run around, maybe in 1 week, does this every day for 7 days, he's a human being. He will get tired. Now, out of fatigue, he makes either the wrong prescription or he makes the right prescription with a wrong dosage. You see the impact. So it is not far-fetched. It is direct. One of the causes of medication error, one of the factors that engender medication error is fatigue of the healthcare providers.
All right.
So when they are stressed out and they will just do motion, before you know it, he has given the wrong thing.
All right.
It is after the patient has taken it that the person might remember and all that.
All right. So now in few seconds, I would like you to give your last words to people, patients, even as we commemorate World Safety, Patient Safety Day.
Okay. I want to advise or admonish patients particularly to adhere to the prescription given to them by healthcare providers. Today we are discussing healthcare providers and drug-related, medication-related harm. The patients also have their own contribution, which is self-medication, and it is wrong. So I would use this medium to admonish patients, please desist from self-medication.
Right.
Just consult your healthcare provider and stick to the prescription you are given. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time with us. It's always a pleasure having these talks with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, viewers, we've been chatting with Ebenezer Egwuatu. He is a patient right and safety advocate, and it's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's all we can take for today. Keep watching The Conversation, because you never know who my next guest will be and what my next topic will be all about. Till I come your way again from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Annabelle Oji. Whatever you do, stay safe. God bless Nigeria.